So the order certainly changing around quite a bit from the way they started. Here, though, is Shiv Sapra trying to move back into the top 5, and he might just have done it. He's forced a big mistake out of Louis Darling, who clatters the tyre stack, and around goes Shafra as well. Oh, Mike, we spoke too soon. That chicane is so often the scene of calamity.
Yeah, I think Shiv thought better of it, but I think, yeah, Louis gone in too hot there and lost the rear, trying to catch it, and opposite lock and nowhere to go but into the barrier. And then everybody's just trying to take avoiding action. And you see Shiv spun on the exit. Everybody did a great job to miss him, but yeah, it's just really unfortunate that. He's cold tyres, you know, the air temp's cold, and yeah, everybody did well there. There wasn't much visibility at all. Cars facing the wrong way, but yeah, not a great start.
Keep an eye on Shiv Sapra here. He's the red and black car, number 8, just coming into shot. He actually gets skittled out of the way by the tyre stack. It's not another car that hits him. The tyre stack there gets a wallop from Louis Darling and then skates across the road and tags the right rear corner of the number 8 car. He almost got around, but there Shiv Sapra gets collected. Shouldn't have done too much damage, hopefully, Mike.
No, it looks okay. The right rear suspension's fine, bodywork's good, so yeah, he'll rejoin and take his position back. But a lot of damage there done to that.
How brave is he feeling on the outside line? Digby, I think, will hold on to the lead, but this time Deep does slot into second place, and that, I'm afraid, is Shiv Sapra off. Not for the first time this afternoon. That time, though, completely unaided. I think he lost the rear into my eyes. Anyway, he didn't look like he was going massively quickly in, but you could see the car drift out wide. There's less grip out there anyway, and you're dealing with fractions to begin with, aren't you?
That's it. I mean, on the circuit, when you see the tyre marks on the road, that indicates it's slippery out there, and he's gone in a little bit offline, and at the point of rotation where the front wants to go, the rear's just come round and pivoted on there. Just couldn't quite get it stopped either before the gravel, and the cars are very low. They're only 60 millimetres to the ground, so as soon as you turn those wheels in the gravel, it just sinks. So you know, that does need a live snap.
They all do so successfully. Shrimpton perhaps more successfully than West. He's again looking up the inside, and this time does commit to the move. Gets to the apex first. Doesn't exactly hold the apex, but the next corner's a left-hander and almost around behind them. That would have been Hodgson, I think, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Lucy Hodgson actually does now end up pointing the wrong way. I think it might have been Cook, maybe, who had the slide in front of Lucy. Look what happened to Phil McGarty. Here he comes over the curb, a bit too much of the curb on the left-hander, and unsettles the car, and he never makes the right-hand element of the chicane. The car, by this point, is heading for the grass, mercifully not to the gravel trap, hence how he was able to get going again. That's Livesey off now from third place. Oh, and gets collected fairly substantially by Mike West, so that car is going no further. Mike West's car, you have to imagine, will have a bit of damage as well. There will be yellow flags out there, but some drivers paying more attention to that than others. Driver's side door has been popped open. And the rear bodywork, actually very similar damage, really, to West's car as it was to Livesey's. Let's try and piece this together then, because we cut to this quite late. Here comes Livesey, already out of control, loops it, and then just digs the front wheels into the gravel trap. Here comes Mike West, fully committed to the corner. In fairness, that looks a lot more dramatic than it is. I don't think any wheels touched other wheels there. I think it was just the left rear corner of both cars. Goes to the outside into Redgate corner, looking maybe for the switchback on the way out of the turn, which he will get. And straight on goes someone further back. That is Louis Darling, who just did not slow down for Redgate corner. He's almost made the barriers at the outside edge of the road. The safety car was scrambled, after which we had another really dramatic moment at Redgate corner as Louis Darling's car didn't slow down properly for the first turn and then had to spend the next handful of laps closing back in. The race leader, Lucy Hodgson, had a rotation all by herself down at the Melbourne hairpin. We see a replay of what happened to Robin Grimwood. Oh, was that contact maybe with the, was that the 31 of Livesey? I think it was, wasn't it? Who was behind Robin at the start of the lap. Hard to tell from that angle if there was contact. And Harry Gamble suddenly finds himself outside of the top 5 because Cronin is also trying to fight through Robert Cronin on the outside line. Oh no, around goes White. And well, from bad to worse for the driver of car 57. He looked as though he was maybe going to lose a place or two, and now, Mike, he'll be right at the back. But to no avail, ended up bouncing through the gravel trap and losing a handful more positions. It was a very lively first part of the race for Gamble. At the very next corner, he got into the back of Nick White and sent the 57.
just turn in a little bit early, understeer, and then hit those sleeping policemen and pitch the car sideways. He did so well, did Cameron, to keep out of the wall.
The lights go out, off they go towards Redgate Corner. A couple of them breaking ranks further back. That's the 21 of Luke Shaw to the outside and Nick White to the inside for the race lead. Oh, there's contact further back. 3 cars head to the right-hand side of the road. Hopefully they won't bounce back into the track. Oh, miraculously, I think they've been avoided by everybody else. Nick White has gone through to the race lead. The right moment to rejoin the circuit. This is how he left the circuit. Just lost the rear going into the turn. Quite dirty down there now at this late stage of the day. There's not a lot of grip if you get offline. That's 4th in class, of course, and now Joe Edge gets to the inside. Oh, gets his nose very much chopped off. Shiv Sapra's on the grass. Oh, and there's a bit of shenanigans going on behind. That's Alan Wright going around. Oh, and in avoidance, nearly a spin for Chris Babington as well. Nearly led to a spin for Chris Babington, making his debut in the championship. Chris was in the top 10 at that time. Then Mike West had a tangle with Peter Thompson at Luffield. Both cars went around. Thompson continued. West reversed into the gravel. James Nicholas doing all of this weaving around in the mirrors is maybe putting off the race leader slightly. That's Mike West off. That's Mike West off at Luffield. Well, that's where he ended up off yesterday. He hasn't made the gravel this time. What happened to Mike West? Down into Brooklands. Is there a car to our inside? Oh, no. There's a car in front, though, and that was Shiv Sapra. So that answered my question. Sapra had a spin, and Mike West lost it in avoidance behind his teammate, and that means Nicholas already has caught back up to the leader. This is what happened to Chris Babington. I think it was a bit of contact, more than a bit of contact with Shiv Sapra. So that damage on Sapra's car was fresh when we saw it, and it was as a result of that contact with Babington. Here's the reverse angle. Sapra carried a bit more speed into the left-hander, thought he saw a gap, but I fear that will be frowned upon. He could quite believe what he was seeing. The leaders both nearly, leading 2, both nearly driving off the circuit. And Caudle probably thought his luck was in there, but a little bit too excitable on the loud pedal as contact, and now it is going to fall into Caudle's lap. Around they both go, and James Nicholas and Charlie Digby, well, what a shame. It had been such a clean battle until that point. This is quite a long way back, in fairness. Sails into the corner. And we can't really tell whether he made the apex from there, but he certainly wasn't alongside going into the braking zone, was he? Being cronin through to break into that top 5. Further back, there was drama for James Townsend, who got too much curb at Brooklands, rotated the car and dropped down a position or so. So it's all changed around. Big lunge up the inside there for the 61. Oh, there is Shrimpton. There is Shrimpton off the road at the Britain chicane. So it all kicked off through Britain's. This, meanwhile, is what happened on the opening lap. So I wasn't making things up. Shrimpton was in the lead. Oh, and look at that. The car's just starting to break loose as he left shot. He bounced over the curb just there on the right-hand side, the right-hand element of the Britain chicane. And, well, that was that. Off to the scenery he went. As they turn now up across the timing line again, Sam Shrimpton makes a move to the inside line. Oh, Deaton's turning in, and there's contact. Around goes Deaton, and Joe Edge loses it as well. Clatters into Darling and Alan Wright. They've all come together at Lodge Corner, and that is such a shame, such an innocuous bit of contact, and it's caused absolute carnage at Lodge Corner. Joe Edge continues. I think they might all get going again, but with varying degrees of damage. Edge is heading for the pit lane. So this is what happened then. Shrimpton goes to the inside. Deaton sort of turns into his Shrimpton's up the curb on the inside, and then Joe Edge, as he turns to the right to avoid the stricken Alex Deaton car, he collects first Louis Darling and then this man Alan Wright. So you can see the initial contact in the distance. There is Joe Edge trying to avoid, and it's just a really unfortunate situation that none of them could avoid, really. And a bit quicker. Oh, that's Shiv Sapra. That's Shiv Sapra from second in the rookies, and he's beached in the gravel at Lodge. God, Ginetta's circulating after that. There was then another moment at Lodge, which really was the scene of most of the drama in that race. This time, Shiv Sapra tipping himself out of second place. Stuck in the middle of a 3-wide situation with Nick White on his outside. White is on the grass. The man second in the championship is going to plummet to the bottom of the order. That's a disaster for Nick White, but he was stuck on the outside of Archie Clark, who had Harry Gamble. He's inside another car off now towards the barriers. Bang into the Armco, and that, I think, was 975, was it maybe? And Nick all the way down in 15th position then as they come towards the conclusion of lap 1. Cronin leading, oh, more contact for Gamble, and that's the championship leader. Broken rear suspension on Archie Clark's car. The championship leader is out of the race. Surely he's pointing the wrong way in the middle of Lodge Corner. Around the outside for the race lead, and then keep an eye in the midfield somewhere. We're going to get a car that gets spat out of line. There it goes, and yes, it is the 33, isn't it? And Mike Taylor heavily into the Armco and into the Recticel barriers as well. This was at Britain's. And this is Nick White coming back through. Oh, what a spin right in front of him. And that was that 75 machine of James Rowling. And then down at Lodge, well, that's really unfortunate. Gamble was going to the outside of Archie Clark. And I think they both were looking for the Jafali, no doubt about it. He's flying. He's closed right in on Cameron Pratt-Thompson. Oh, contact further back. There was a car going around. That was the number 8 machine. Clatters into the plastic bollards, and Dominic Paul rejoins undamaged, thankfully. But I think that he was assisted in that. And it was Harry Gamble charging through behind who was grabbing the attention. He moved into third and set off after the leaders. A scary spin then for Dominic Paul at the Britain chicane. Sent the plastic markers scattering, but he rejoined with no damage. Absolutely neck and neck between the front row starters. Up the inside, he's looking Archie Clark for the lead. Surely not. Went from 5th on the grid, almost level with the leader. There is contact between the top two. Cronin is out on the grass. There's a cloud of dust, and out the other side emerges. No, there's a collision. There are cars off. 27's in the barrier. That is Alex Duncan. There were more who had tangled on the left-hand side of the road. And big damage too. That's Mike Taylor, isn't it? Number 33, who was off the road early on yesterday. But he's so late on the brakes at Old Hall Corner, he nearly goes to the inside of the front row starters. That door is slammed in his face. There's the contact between Collins and Cronin. And around goes a car to the right. Oh, that was the 27 machine off towards the barriers. Not too much damage done, though, to that car of Alex Duncan. This is on board with Alex. Oh, hard to tell from that onboard camera whether he was assisted or not. He nudges the barriers, but not too much damage done. This is then what happened further down the avenue, and that was Mike Taylor being spat out of line heavily into the barriers. It's actually on the driver's left-hand side of the road heading down the avenue. This is the Cameron Pratt-Thompson view. We know that Cameron's race doesn't last more than 1 or 2 corners. Let's see if we can figure out why. To our inside is Archie Clark. Look at that for a brave lunge on the opening lap. There's the contact between the leaders, and Cameron bounces over the grass. Did that do the damage? No, that did the damage. That may have been Mike Taylor to the right, I think, who sort of swiped across into Cameron Pratt-Thompson. We'll get to that in a moment, actually, because this was Cameron Pratt-Thompson. That's where the wheel came from, as he tried to get back into the race. Valiant effort, but sadly with only 3 wheels on his wagon. Cronin had been gaining time, but now he's in traffic, isn't able to go as quickly as he was in clean air. I don't think that's necessarily... Oh, it is tyre related because he's looped it, has he? Did he save that? No, he's off. Cronin is off into the barriers, and the slick tyres finally costing Robert Cronin on the exit of the Britain chicane. There he is. You saw he caught the curb through the right-hander, and the rear tyres spun around. With conditions continuing to deteriorate, that's not good news. It's that landing off the curb. He spun the rear tyres up. In the dry, he would have caught that, but in the wet, there was nothing he could do, and it's, well, a fairly gentle bit of contact with the tyre barriers. 3-lap penalty for Conor Garlick. Oh, we'll get to that in a moment though, because Dominic Paul has rather rudely found a way past Emma Tomlinson, but it is an overtake attempt that has ended up with Emma Tomlinson in the gravel, I'm afraid, at Cascade.
What he can do is hang on to third and therefore fend off any potential challenge for number 8 of Shiv Sapra. 1 or 2 more running wide, and a big drama in the background. There was one car that was sideways up the curb, and as it came back onto the circuit, hit Peter Thompson, which was the other one involved in that. Through the dust cloud, we'll work it out in a moment. Peter Thompson carries on with damage. Peter Thompson found himself in the walls a little bit, because as he came powering his way out of the left-hander at turn 6, Joe Edge came across the front and collected him, and the 2 of them ending up badly delayed. Joe Edge survived it, but there was quite a lot of damage to Peter Thompson's car. Charlie Digby, I'm afraid, threw away the race lead by running wide, coming onto Bentley Straight. And James Nicholas is third. Right on his tail is a good start from Alex Dayton. Digby runs out of road. He gets onto all the dust on the outside, compromises the traction. He survived that pretty well as Nicholas gets up the inside, going into the Wilson hairpin. Contact, Digby into the back of Caudle. He turns him around, and that rips the rear wing off Jamie Caudle's car, and he is effectively out of the race from that, I would have thought, because even if he can drag it back without the rear wing, that is going to be an evil handling car. Replay of lap 1 up at Wilson. On board with Digby, brakes late, bang, into the back, turns Caudle around, and as he tries to go round him, he clips him again, and that bit of contact just hooks the rear wing off the car. Charlie Digby trying to rejoin, and as he does so, he falls GT Academy to bring into one-make GT-style categories. Drivers of limited experience, and a bit of contact there, I think, between Wright and Thompson. Indeed, Thompson spins, and off in avoidance goes Joe Edge. So Peter Thompson tries to turn the car around. His screen's looking a little bit as though it's got either lots of flies or a bit of liquid on it as well, but he does rejoin, delayed, and so that, I fear, is going to get looked at as well. So Alan Wright getting involved with Peter Thompson, and there he's locking up as well, and spins, so the biter bit. He's involved in one incident, then has his own. Outbraked himself there, going Jamie able to rejoin. He made a pit stop and carried on to the end a long way back as Peter Thompson and Alan Wright got together, and eventually Wright sort of shoveled Thompson out of the way. Both continued, although Alan Wright then had his own dramas, locking up, for example, coming through Oggies and then spinning, and he had another grassy moment before the end of the race as well. This was it. Start made by Mackenzie Douglas to dive out of the traffic, but it all sort of kicked off ahead of him as Harry Gamble went to the outside line and ran out of real estate, ploughing his way through the dust that was way, way wide. He got back on track in last place. More tyre squeal heralded a backwards arrival of Luke Shaw. That was him spinning away the AM class lead. He was able to rejoin, and he would finish the race third in class. More fights raged on, and Emma Tomlinson ended up tripping over Dominic Paul and having a spin sideline as the cars went up towards turn one. Douglas coming out in second place, and it looked as though the hard work had paid off as there was a big lose. Have a look at the third place car, Cameron Pratt-Thompson. He didn't seem to make such a good getaway. He fell down the order on the first lap as they funneled down towards Riches. Yeah, he lost out to people going all the way around the outside. That was James Townsend. Dalliance elsewhere, but has been a very loyal member of the Ginetta family, and even after a big shunt at Thruxton a few years back, came back undaunted back into Ginetta racing. Big moment there for Hadley Simpson, who's off the road, and that's a big lose. It was wrong coming out of Hamilton, and it ends going into Oggies, into the barriers. So let's have another look. This is in replay. Look at the fourth car, just wide, and then it spits across the road. I wonder whether he hit the curb, something broke, because certainly there was, to the eye, not a very hard impact. And that is the end of Alex Duncan's race. The left front didn't look right, and he has got as far as Agostini. And does a wheel come off? It does. I said it looked loose when we saw the car rejoining earlier on. The wheel makes a bid for freedom. That goes bouncing across the grass, into the barriers, and ends up bouncing back down onto terra firma. But after nearly 40 minutes of racing, that's quite a scare for a wheel to just come off the car. Whether there was a curb strike that broke something.
It's as though Nicholas will hold on to the early advantage, and in fact Charlie Digby moves up to challenge Jamie Cordell for second place. Has Jamie got any grip on the outside line? Yes, he has shrimped and gets elbowed wide by a fast starting Shiv Sapra, who started from the third row of the grid but is up to fourth as we approach Truitt, and then ushers Shrimpton right to the edge of the road and loses a place in the process. Off, I'm afraid, has gone Damien Duffy. That was Paddock Hill Bend, I believe. Not intentional. Now keep an eye on that blue and orange car there, mid-pack. That's Damien Duffy. At the front of the field, James Nicholas, as I said, retained the early lead. What happens to Duffy? Oh, he was given a bit of assistance, wasn't he, as they turned into the corner. Was that Lucy Hodgson, I think? Yes, it was, the green and orange number 44 car. It's two similarly liveried cars coming together on the apex at Paddock Hill Bend. There was a big jump around the outside from Lexi Belk in the white and orange car, and Damien Duffy tried to turn into the apex. There wasn't really anywhere that Lucy Hodgson could go there, and contact was made. 9.5 minutes or so left on the clock. This is what happened. Oh, that's an odd one, isn't it, for Phil McGarty? The angle that the car was at coming out of the corner suggests that was a bit of a tank slapper. Could also take place at Donington Park, so there's a good chance we'll still have 4 races to go. That's a big moment for Robin Grimwood, and for a horrifying moment I thought he was spearing towards the barriers on driver's left, but he did a good job to catch that, so he doesn't particularly need to worry about the car ahead. Robert Cronin mathematically is in contention for the championship, but it's a long shot. Oh, that's not the ideal line through Surtees. Crunch into the barriers and nearly over for Oliver Fordham. That was a bizarre moment. He carried far too much speed into the corner. Marshall gives him a thumbs up and relays back to the Marshall behind him, the post chief, that driver is okay. But that is not going to be the easiest of extrication processes. Oh, and another one's off now. That's Pratt Thompson, who's already been warned about track limits. He's off the road again now at Stirling's. That looked like Gamble's had a drama. Yes, Gamble's been off again, hasn't he? Because he's now behind. May have broken a steering arm. There will be certainly damage to the suspension of some description, maybe radiator as well. Could be a late night, I'm afraid, for the Fox Motorsport squad. Now, this is what happened. He was going on the inside of Emma Tomlinson's 47 car, and did he miss his braking point, or was it a braking issue of some sort. Well, it was definitely a braking issue, whether mechanical or driver, I'm not really sure. But anyway, the car didn't want to slow down, that's for sure. Nick says, OK, I'll try around the outside instead. That still doesn't work. And Harry Gamble, for the time being, retains the class lead. There's a big lunge on the inside from Nick White, though. There's contact at Graham Hill Bend. Off exit stage right goes Harry Gamble. And the man who has led the class all race long is now right at the back of the pack. They go towards Paddock Hill Bend. Absolutely neck and neck between the front row starters, and Cameron Pratt-Thompson thinks about making it 3 wide. Bails out of it, no, gets into Nick White, who is spun. Nick White is off into the gravel trap, and Nick White from the front row of the grid is potentially going no further. Major drama for Nick, and it was Cameron Pratt-Thompson, I think, who got into the side of him there. I'm sure we'll get another look at that. Well, actually, briefly, I thought was going to try and get to the inside of both of the front row starters. Decided not to have a go at Collins. He was to the inside of Nick White, and to be fairness, Cameron didn't really drift out into Nick White, did he? It was just a bit of a pinch at the apex. This will give us a better idea. Yeah, contact made whilst Cameron Pratt-Thompson's right-hand side tyres were basically on the white line, so not really much he could have done. They headed out of Paddock Hill Bend. This was Archie Clark's view of a spinning Nick White. He nips to the inside of one car. That was Alex Duncan, I think, as he headed down the hill, and immediately tried to find a way past the 2 cars ahead. This was what Nick White saw or felt. There's the contact. And around goes car 57, lucky not to be collected by anybody else, actually, as he spun. So Hadley Simpson a lot further down on the grid for this one than you might have expected for car 37. He is another pro driver. He slips to the inside of Luke Shaw, who has to go off in avoidance of Harry Gamble. Luke Shaw's in the barriers. He's broken the rear wing off the car. And Luke Shaw, who had a narrow championship lead in the AM Championship, is surely now going to be out of the race. Certainly will require going defensive. That's Harry Gamble, the first yellow and black car, I should say. And as car number 23 turns through Surtees, did he get the curb? It was hard to tell from there, but either way, Luke Shaw had nowhere to go, had to go to the outside in avoidance, and just a glancing blow against the Rector-Cell barriers, which ordinarily, but he didn't get off the turn quite as well, I don't think, as Cronin. Oh, and that's Hadley Simpson. Hadley Simpson's had a drama down into Graham Hill Bend. Now, he was a couple of tenths or so behind, 4.5 seconds off the leader's pace. This is what happened between Duncan and Simpson. Oh, Simpson tried to tuck him behind Alex Duncan, and well, was clearly a little bit later on the brakes than the 27 machine was, and ran into the back of him. And now sees all of his hard work undone. Oh, Hadley Simpson's off. Hadley Simpson's off. I think something might have broken on the front of the car, and he's beached himself in the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend. Now, this could require a safety car period, and we're in the pit window. The pit lane window has just opened, so in come Oliver Ford and Dominic Paul as well. But if we get a safety car period, what does that mean for pit stops? Will be penalised. There is Hadley Simpson's car being pulled away. This is what happened. Now, was it a breakage or was it a drama with Ali Jafali? He's got that damage, remember, on the left front corner. And, oh no, oh wow, goes right over the back of Ali Jafali's car, so it wasn't a failure, or damage resulting failure. Anyway, it was definitely a collision. James Nicholas leads the charge towards Redgate Corner. It's a good launch, though, I think, from Charlie Digby on the outside of row 1. He's squeezing Nicholas towards the damper inside line at Redgate Corner, but actually it's Digby who goes off. It's Charlie Digby who locks up, goes into the gravel trap. He was on the outside line, the drier side of the road, and look what that's done. Jamie Cordell's up the inside for the lead. Jamie Cordell, the championship lead. Babington has, by the looks of it, had a half spin at Goddard's. The SVG Motorsport car, though, fires back up, carries back on. This is how he got there. No one else in sight, unfortunately, and Chris Babington just finds himself pointing completely the wrong direction, and he might now convert that into a challenge into Redgate Corner. Across the line they go! Oh, contact further back at the Melbourne hairpin, and this is going to be a safety car, surely. I can't see the numbers on those 2 cars, but, oh, I've got that the wrong way round, actually, haven't it? It was the 33 car, I think, of Faye Goff, which had spun. It was actually 98, Lexi Belk, who came in afterwards. But Alan Wright may have been involved because he lost a lot of positions as well. No, I don't think he was he? There's the spin look, a solo spin for Faye Goff. And then wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Here comes Lexi Belk. Now, oh, and she was blinded, wasn't she, by Damien Duffy's car in front. She couldn't see because she was so close to Damien Duffy's car ahead. And is this maybe going to explain the Alan Wright delay? Yes, it does. So it was a separate issue in the very next corner, and he nearly suffered the same fate, didn't he? Spinning in front of another car, and as they head for Redgate Corner, and he's late on the brakes, can't go around the outside, but does manage to slot in line behind Nicholas Sapra. Jim Sapra sideways, and there's contact, and he surely is out, and that will be it then. That will be it for the Rookie Championship. championship. Shiv Sapra, one of 4 or 5 cars off at the first corner. We've got Alan Wright. The number 4 is Damien Duffy. There was another, I think, stuck in the gravel trap. What happens? Alex Deaton is the 27 car peeking to the inside, and I'm not actually convinced there was contact there. Sapra just got sideways, tagged Joe Edge. Alan Wright avoided him, but Damien Duffy didn't. Just can't quite see whether there was a tap from Alex Deaton. If there was, that is a little awkward because they are teammates, he and Shiv Sapra. Hodgson's car pointing the wrong way. Hopefully hasn't stalled. I'm hoping she's just waiting for a gap in the traffic to get going again. Here it is. That is Cook up the inside. Well, no, there wasn't contact. She just locked the rears. Obviously trying to outbrake the car that was coming through on the inside, and you can see the nose of the Elite Motorsport car appearing. Harry Gamble is sideways on the curb, and Cronin had contact. Cronin had big contact, and has that damaged his car? That was a huge whack from somebody. Is the car okay? It's turning, and that's sideways. That's Clark sideways on the grass as well, and there's big contact further back. Around goes Nick White. Nick White is off the road. So is Ali Jafali. No, I don't believe it. Ali Jafali, the championship leader in the AM class, is off the road, and so too is Pro-Am contender Nick White. What a dramatic run. The wing mirror falls off. It's on the right-hand element of the chicane. It was slightly obscured by the 27 car of Alex Duncan, but look, he's running wide. He's on a trajectory towards that wall, and bang, there it was. Oh yes, big contact actually, and you can see immediately that breaks the steering on the right front corner. He would have felt that pretty much straight away too. Archie Clark can provisionally win the title if he outscores Robert Cronin by 2 points. Oh, was that Gamble into the tyres? I think Gamble's hit the tyres. Yes, he has. Harry Gamble's off, and he's spinning into the track. Harry Gamble with damage, surely, to the right front corner. Is that broken steering as well? He's right in the middle of the road. This is not a good place for that car to be stationary. It's exactly the same thing, look. He just turns into the right-hand element a tiny bit too early, and bang, there it is. Oh, and it actually knocked his left arm off the steering wheel. Such was the ferocity of the impact, so that's put a lot of force through that steering arm. Here it is from the reverse angle, turns in, bang. Surely he's not got away without breaking the steering on that car. Big spin there as he comes back onto the road and manages to recover. Now, here we are on board. We're not going to see his left hand, but as he hits the tyre wall, it ripped, I think, both hands off the wheel. I actually think that's why he goes off. I'm not... there may well be steering damage as well. Yes, there is, look, because he's off again. Harry Gamble's off again now, down the Crater curves, and this surely now is a situation where he has to pull the car into the pit lane to retire. Otherwise, he could do more damage, and tries to challenge. Remember, he's going after Harry Gamble, who closes the door on the inside line into Redgate Corner. Is Gamble going to get the lead? Is it going to be Robert Cronin, who comes up the middle of everybody in the yellow and black car, and he will be possibly second? Oh, around goes Hadley Simpson, and around goes Cronin as well. Nick White nearly collected. Cronin's going back into the road. It's a big shunt, an enormous pile-up down the hill. Oh, that is a big accident. That is not what we wanted to see, and it all happened because one car got spun to the inside. An instant red flag. That is not a surprise, and this, I fear, is going to be a fairly lengthy delay. That is a sizable incident.